Hello, Johnny Long here. Clearly you are somewhat enjoying this podcast, otherwise you wouldn't be listening. The simple proposition is if you like something and want it to stick around, please consider paying for it. And the only reason this all exists is because people are paying for it, but we need all of you. We know you're out there listening to this for free, and that's fine because we're good, honest people, and we're not scraping your data to find out where you live and knocking on your door with a bucket demanding you chuck a tenner in. Instead, we're supposed to give you value propositions or to tug on your heartstrings to make you sign up, like we're those poorly animals from the daytime TV adverts. I'm going to make my pitch simpler. Pay for the things you enjoy, otherwise there's the risk they disappear. Media is a tough business, and while we've made a great start, there's still a long way to go. Consider what these podcasts and the rest of our media is worth to you, and hopefully that amount is above zero, ideally. So, if you regularly listen to these podcasts and are not yet a member, please strongly consider signing up so that we can continue making these podcasts and all the other articles and media you enjoy. Go to escapecollective.com/member to sign up, and thanks so much if you already have.
Welcome back to the Spin Cycle Podcast, everybody. I'm Kaylee Fretz. Joining me today, Johnny Long. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to you, Kaylee.
Kit Nicholson, how are you?
I'm a bit chilly today.
Bit chilly. I'm chillier.
Yeah, I realised as I said it that I was asking for trouble. But never mind.
Forgot to turn the heat on in the meth camper last night, and it was just a little bit cold. Dane Cash, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great, Kelly. I'm also cold, but I can't go. Oh, I'm not going to complain now that
You're in a t-shirt.
You're in a t-shirt.
You're on a t-shirt. Someone's doing well for themselves.
Hold on now. Hold on
the
now.
heating's on.
I am in a t-shirt because I'm rocking the Escape Collective branding for any of our video listeners, and I don't have a sweatshirt. I didn't want to hide this. Beneath this camera right now, I have a extremely heavy winter blanket.
Oh, look at that. Cute.
Oh, that is heavy and very olive.
Yeah, so I'm
Nice.
I'm trying to be brand
You could have gone for the old teenage look with the long sleeve tee underneath.
Yeah.
That's actually a great idea, Kit. Yeah.
That's a good look.
Yeah.
You should do that.
Yeah.
All right. Today on the show, Big Dairy says things aren't milk. DSM and depopulation. A trip to Pitter's Paddock, saunter down Snoggers Street, and maybe even a stroll through unfortunate physical ailments alleyway. Let's get to it. Let's get straight into it, friends. Let's get straight into it. We're going to start with the milk round. We have a number of milk-related stories for you today. That's not something I can generally say to open the episode. We got a lot of sort of big talking points for the day, but we're going to start with milk. So, Johnny.
Yes.
DSM.
I've been following these stories closely.
I bet you have been.
I have been. It all started last week, Kaylee, when British people started, a small number of British people, I imagine, started pouring milk down their sinks and toilets in protest of a trial of a new cow feed additive that's supposed to reduce methane gas emissions in dairy cows. So it basically makes more environmentally friendly milk.
Which is worse for climate change than carbon dioxide, right? Isn't it like 10x or something like that?
You tell me.
I'm
I'm just
sure that's
focused
correct.
on the milk being poured down toilets, to be honest. But anyway, people, sort of, internet crazy people saying that this is, it's not safe, even though it's been like approved by scientists and stuff, and that it's all part of, and it's all linked to some sort of misinformation campaign that's part of a depopulation plot by Bill Gates.
It's one of those.
It's one of those.
Yeah, cool.
But you might be wondering, where does this fit into our weird little cycling world? Well, the company that makes the additive called Bovaer is DSM Firmenich.
Oh.
Remember those guys?
Vaguely.
They're at bike races sometimes. So DSM Firmenich had to put out a lengthy statement against the mistruths and misinformation being spread about its product. So that was last week's news.
Fast
forward to this week, there is more milk news that's cycling adjacent coming out of the United Kingdom. Any idea? Can you guess what other sort of milk sponsor it could be?
Well,
not to do with the milk craze.
Is it
that's
milk,
gone.
though?
Well,
that's the point.
Is it milk?
Correct, Dane. It's not milk. Oatly that sponsors EF Education Cannondale.
Yeah.
Are they called Oatly as well now as well?
Oh, Oatly Cannondale, I think.
Yeah. they're one of the confusing ones where they always switch the orders. Anyway, a UK judge has ruled that that Oatly can no longer call themselves Milk or use milk in their marketing, and that you can only call yourself Milk if the milk in quotation marks comes from an animal.
So what do you call it? You call it like oat juice? What are they putting on the bottles now?
Julian Allen, one of our members, suggested calling it nut juice, which I think is wrong.
Oh wow!
And when I said it, I realised the joke he was making, so I'm ashamed that's on the podcast now. Anyway,
does this make everyone liable whenever they ask for a flat white with oat milk?
I think so.
Good question.
I had one in the park just a few hours ago.
I'm drinking a coffee with Oatly in it right now, actually.
Wow, I didn't realise we had so many oat milk aficionados on this podcast.
Kind of like the taste. I like it. It's
good.
Yeah.
You too,
as a mildly lactose intolerant person who doesn't like stinking at his family, I'm big on the nut juice.
We just need to get you all some of that Bova additive. Might help out. Anyway, the best part of this story, if you can call it that in terms of being a story for us, is the statement from Oatly's British and Irish manager Brian Carroll, who said, "Be under no illusion that making it harder to label and find dairy alternatives benefits the interests of big dairy," both big and dairy capitalized, benefits the interest of big dairy and big dairy alone. So
I'm getting flashbacks to Four Seasons Total Landscaping.
What's that?
Oh, Johnny, do you not remember that story? Rudy Giuliani, what was it, 4 years ago? They wanted to have that press conference at a posh hotel, and they booked the wrong place. Had it at a landscaping company.
They booked the Four Seasons in the wrong side of town.
Oh, that is it. So yeah, hot seat this week is milk sponsors in cycling.
How do you feel about big dairy?
Well, I'm worried
now. It makes me fart.
They have a pretty big outsized impact on stuff. They definitely made, I don't know, their campaigns made it so that people just drank a ton of milk in the US in the 90s.
I remember going. We used to drink a lot of milk too. I think in this country we still do, Johnny. I certainly remember going back to my boarding house at break times, and there was a milk machine, which like a kind of, I guess, like a water fountain. It was literally just this massive refrigerated box, and you would just get a pint of milk and have it with 2 slices of toast at break time.
A woman at the nursery I went to as a young child used to try and force everyone to drink a glass of milk, and apparently I used to refuse point blank, to the point I had to go to a different nursery.
You got thrown out on basis of milk.
So this story, comes quite close to the bone.
Is it triggering for you, Johnny?
Yeah, exactly. There was something else I was going to say that was actually worthy of the cycling chat, but I can't remember now.
I really appreciated that as a way to start the podcast. Thank you for bringing us this updates from the milk round, Johnny.
Who were from the DSM part of the story? Who are the people in protest pouring the milk in their toilet rather than the sink? Are these people with 0 sinks and 1 toilet in their house?
Maybe it's a bigger statement.
It's just, that's disgusting and messy. Anyway, we can move on.
Should we? Well, no, Roman Bardet doesn't ride for them anymore. I was to say we could reach out for comment.
He does for another
6 months.
Six months, yeah.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
He'll have something philosophical to say. He'll say something like, "Well, what is milk?" And then I'll just be like, "Well, shut up, Roman Bardet."
I think that's Oatly's point, is it not?
Brian Carroll and Roman Bardet are going to team up for the biggest ever comeback.
All right, that's enough on milk for today. We're gonna saunter over to Pitter's Paddock because, frankly, we cannot avoid Tom Pidcock from
staying in the farmyard.
We're staying in the farmyard, indeed. Not a ton to update everybody on at Pitter's Paddock over here. We wrote a quick story yesterday. This is kind of interesting, actually. So rather than Tom Pidcock, who obviously has officially now signed with Q36.5, as we talked about on last week's episode. By the way, can we just pat ourselves on the back for recording that prior to the news breaking and then getting it into the actual podcast? I just like to pat ourselves on the back.
That was good.
Regardless.
We did one thing right this year.
We did one thing right. Q36.5 is the team he's racing for next year. They are obviously on Scott bicycles. That contract runs to the end of 2025. Now, I guess the confounding point here is that Pidcock has long had a very close relationship with Pinarello, who is a sponsor of Ineos. And Pinarello is owned, or the majority of it, is owned by Ivan Glassenberg, who is also the Mr. Moneybags behind Q36.5. So we end up in this sort of funny situation. I believe I called it a menage a trois yesterday in my story.
Didn't where we've Spanish.
We've got one rider and two bike brands, one that is contractually guaranteed to have him riding their bikes on the road, but he's going to be riding Pinarello off-road, which is a really interesting, well, I think it's a good solution all around, and it's not something we see very often. Generally, the only time you see a pro rider riding multiple bike brands is if that bike, whatever the main sponsor that person has, doesn't make another type of bike. So, for example, Pidcock himself, back in the earlier days of his mountain bike career with Ineos, rode BMC frames because Pinarello didn't make one, right? And that's a little bit more normal. Fully setting up to have him ride two different brands throughout the season is unusual, and that's the latest update from Pitter's paddock.
How do you think Scott feel about this? Because they were dumped by DSM, weren't they? Quite late on. Was it DSM they got dumped by?
DSM are on Lapierre next year.
Because they're on Lapierre, so they lost that team, and now they weren't really probably expecting that much from their partnership with Q36.5. And then they're like, oh, great, we've got Tom Pidcock now. And then he will still be riding Pinarello's off-road. Kind of puts a dampener on that even. But maybe they're still happy because they're up one Tom Pidcock on the road for 2025, which is pretty good.
I mean, that contract would have been signed when Q36.5 was still a largely irrelevant bicycle team.
Yeah. And so I think
I think they still come out well ahead in that particular deal. However, I'm sure that they're not stoked to not have Tom Pidcock on their mountain bikes, for example. I mean, this is a company that sponsored Nino Schurter, was a 10-time world champion on cross country. Like they have they have a lot of interest in mountain bike and off-road in general, and they would have loved to have Tom Pidcock on that bike. And frankly, I mean, I haven't ridden Scott's cross country bike in a while, but it's probably a better bike than the Pinarello, to be perfectly honest.
This might not be podcast worthy, but seeing some of the comments under Pidcock's announcement, or the eventual announcement, that he was going to be on Q36.5. Schurter was one of his rivals, one of his pals, who commented, oh, now you can be on a fast bike, or something along those lines.
That's fun.
It was fun.
That's fun.
There were a whole bunch of them too.
I'm sure. So yeah, if you're Scott, you're probably, like I said, I think you come out ahead in general, because now you have Tom Pidcock riding, their new Aero race bikes and things. But yeah, they would have loved to have on the mountain bike, no question. And it's just an unusual situation. I do think that you can guess who's going to be sponsoring, what bike brand is going to be sponsoring Q36.5 once this Scott contract is up. So 2026, Pinarello moves over.
Cannondale.
That does open up an interesting question. So Pinarello moves over, and then probably doesn't sponsor Ineos anymore. So that, like 14-year, 15-year relationship ends, and Ineos has to go find another bike brand.
Scott, they can sponsor another increasingly irrelevant team.
Pinarello has sponsored multiple teams in the past.
Yeah, they have Movistar and Sky at the same time.
But if you're Pinarello, maybe you don't want to sponsor Ineos anymore.
There was a lot of confusion when last week when we were working on this story. It was actually in a chat between me and you, Kaylee, and Ronan, and I was trying to get to the bottom of whether Pinarello were going to be going over to Q36.5 or not, and then got mightily confused because not only is Scott the name of a bike brand, but I presumed it was the name of like a marketing manager at Pinarello. So for about 20 minutes, I was convinced that Pinarello had gone over, and that's the off season. So I think there should be a rule that you can't have a bike brand that also could be someone's name, because I'm not clever enough to pass the difference.
Most bike brands, I think.
Johnny Bikes.
Yeah, that's banned. And then you should also
last names are okay. I mean, Pinarello's a last name.
Yeah, exactly. You're never gonna, not Scott. But then also there should be a ban on names like Q36.5.
Oh yeah,
because we're now going to have to say that a lot more than we thought we would next
year.
Should we give him a nick?
It's the period, or the full stop, as you might say, across the pond. It just call it 365. That is so much that flows. It rolls off the tongue.
That would then render it irrelevant because
Q365.
It's the temperature. It's the body's temperature, isn't it?
But
is that what it's supposed to be?
Is that what it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what it is.
News to me.
The Q stands for something in Latin or Greek or something, and then the 36.5 is the.
That's why there's a full stop.
Human body temp in Celsius.
It's not 365 days in the year.
Quaerare.
That's what I presumed it was.
Research and the ideal body temperature in degrees Celsius during any form of physical activity.
Well, Kaylee's going to be disappointed they're not using Fahrenheit, so that's one person down.
Yeah, when they race in the States, do they have to change the name?
Yes, that'd be a great sponsorship activation.
So 36.5, well, in Fahrenheit, body temp is what, 98.6?
Yeah, but this says the ideal, it's 97.7 is the trans, right, that's what 36.5
Oh, wow, so human body temperature changes depending on whether you're in America or somewhere.
We run a little hotter.
Yeah, we run a little hot. Okay.
There are so many variables. Yeah.
Someone was saying that they sound like a local radio station, but when you make it into Fahrenheit, it sounds even more like a local radio station.
Oh yeah.
You're listening to Q97.7.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sit back, relax as I take you home on this Friday evening to your loved ones. Crack open a beer and enjoy yourself. Yeah.
Nothing but the hits.
So we should come up with a better name for them. Maybe just Q. What about Q? Like, is that a James Bond character?
James Bond,
Q?
yeah, it is, yeah.
And Pidcock's British, yeah.
It's going to be a full Britishization of the team.
I'm into it. But there's one more piece of Ineos Pidcock adjacent news. Jim Ratcliffe, Ineos Grenadiers owner, also owns Manchester United. He cancelled Manchester United's Christmas party this week.
It's mad.
This is the fact that he also owns the biggest soccer/football team in the world is going to be a source of endless amusement.
Because then,
to us.
there's all the football journalists just doing all of the reporting, finding out loads of weird
and
stuff.
Way crazier things happen over there than happen in cycling.
Oh yeah,
and we can tie them all together.
This is the Christmas party for everyone who works in all the offices. Half of whom he'd laid off. It's just each passing week, you just think surely the goal of becoming like a billionaire was not to have to deal with all of this and do these things.
Well,
I don't get it.
And he's such a. I mean, this is just my perspective from the outside. Obviously, the penny pinching is insane.
You can't take it with you, mate.
He's Scrooge.
The amount of money that they spend on people, right? Like your average Manchester United starting player is on a couple $100,000 a week, and then they cancel a Christmas party that was probably going to cost like $50,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What? It's a statement, right? Ratcliffe is saying, "I'm an asshole. Don't cross me." That's the only statement I can think of. So what we need is for Manchester United to get good again, so he can come back and bring some of this drama back to cycling. That's what we want.
That's true. Is that why we've never had a Christmas party at Escape?
Because it would cost $50,000.
No, it's a message to not cross you.
For us, it literally would cost $50,000 because we'd be flying people from all over the earth to get back there.
Yeah,
but yes, that is the reason why we never had a Christmas party.
Okay.
Yep, noted. Do not cross me. I'm an asshole. All right, let's move on from Pitter's paddock. We're heading over to a brief saunter into Snogger's Street.
Uh-oh.
What's Davigadou doing?
Oh, he's giving philosophical interviews.
Yeah, he is. Did you have this one, Kit?
I had a look at this. I mean, it was from his team. So it's he said what he was meant to say. But our favourite part of it was they did ask him about his new style, his new haircut, or lack thereof, I suppose. By the time the Vuelta came around, he had a little top knot. And I just love the way that he described it in this interview. He describes it as a project. First things first, the long hair project started at the beginning of May, and it took a while to grow. In the end, it was almost too long compared to what I imagined. But the moment I tied it back properly, I've left it this way. I'm not saying I believe it's a causal link, but I feel good. You could almost say it's a new look for a new career. So there you go. And it was off the back of finishing 6th at the Vuelta after finishing 53rd at the Tour. So yeah, that's some gems from Gaudu.
He does like a sort of explanation or like alternative, training methods to trying to refine the Tour de France 4th place fire. Because do you remember before the hair thing and before this year's disappointing Tour de France, which he did have COVID after the Dauphiné, I think. Mm-hmm. But before that, he gave up the going on the internet in favor of going fishing instead, and that was supposed to turn things around for him.
Because he was a famous Twitcher, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, and then he got into trouble on Twitch because I think he said something like, "I don't want Arnaud Démare in the Tour de France team."
Oh yes.
So he's always getting himself into more trouble than you think. But I just wonder how much more rope he's got with his boss, Marc Madio, and just being like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm giving up the internet. I'm going to be good again." Or, "Oh, don't worry, I've grown my hair out. Everything's fine."
And he's going to be sharing a bus with Guillaume Martin next year. So he's got to find a way to differentiate in this philosophical world that they inhabit.
I mean, let's be honest, though. Let's be honest. If you're Marc Madio and you need a great French hope,
yeah.
Do you have any other options?
Well, you did have Lenny Martinez who's gone for the Bahrain bag.
Right, but like you're not going to compete with the Bahrain bag.
Yeah.
So you're stuck with Gaudu.
Look, don't get me wrong. I love everything about David Gaudu, but I'm just he just can't keep getting away with saying this nonsense. We don't let anyone else get away with saying this nonsense. So why should we let him?
We've always let the French get away.
It's quite sad, really, isn't it? I think
him and Martin both at Groupama is actually really good because Madio wants to have his French hope, but the sport needs Madio to have a philosophical, not actually ever going to win the Tour de France rider.
He needs to keep wandering around with that sigh plastered
That's
across
what
his
we
face.
want. We want to see that.
No. Just close your eyes.
I know where you're going.
Close your eyes. And picture for a moment, you're on the Champs-Élysées. You're in the back seat of a team car. And in the front seat is Marc Madio winning the Tour de France with a French rider.
Yeah,
is that not the greatest thing that's ever happened in cycling?
Yeah, it's great. But it's not going to happen anytime soon. So
I'm saying that's the ideal. That's what we should be all hoping for. Is that sometime before we all leave cycling, before Marc Madio leaves cycling.
Moments before Marc Madio leaves cycling.
Oh, the last year of Marc Madio.
He wins the Tour de France with a French rider.
I reckon it could happen if there's like another world war, and then we just have a very limited Tour de France where it's literally only
like it's the
French
Tour Down Under,
Belgian
but
teams.
in France.
Yeah, kind of. Like literally, like
so nobody else can turn
Pogačar
up.
and Vingegaard can physically not get themselves to France, and then one of those fellas can win it. I wouldn't like a war, but
during the 1943 NFL season, or I guess what was it then? Whatever it was then.
That year.
The Eagles and the Steelers, they didn't have enough players between them because of a world war that happened to be going on in 1943. So they just combined teams. So they were Pennsylvania's one team, and they were the Steagles, which sounds fake, or that's a real thing.
That sounds
really
great.
happened in 1943.
So what if you were going to combine the French teams? What would you have? You have Groupidis,
You got Arkea as well for now until they get to Motor.
Oh yeah,
Arkea Groupidis.
Yeah, B&B Groupidis.
What about AG2R Decathlon?
Oh yeah,
that's right.
Forgot about them.
There are a lot of them.
Oh man, there
are a lot of them.
So many.
Arkea Groupidis Athlon.
Yes, that's
there we
it.
go.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be such a fun Tour de France if there was just like 4 French teams.
I mean, we said this before. I want national teams back in the Tour de France.
Yeah.
I want national teams back in the Tour. Like, that would be the drama. Would be unbelievable. It would be unbelievable. It'd be so good.
I agree.
Bring it back. All right. One last very important news item here. Can you update us, Johnny, on the B-Post stock price, please?
Okay, I'll give you the stock price update from my new desk at Bloomberg, and then Kit will give you maybe some of the analysis of why the stock has risen since Evenepoel's statement. 6%. If we'd all bought when we actually checked the stock price at its lowest ebb on Wednesday morning, we would all be 6% better off.
Oof.
And then
this is not financial advice.
This is not financial advice, but 6% financially better off actually equates to being a percentage much better off in terms of us being able to brag about having been right about it.
That's true.
But Kit, I'll throw to our financial correspondent, Kit Nicholson, who's on the ground in Belgium. Why the rise, Kit?
Well, I think I don't know, frankly. I do not know. But
is it the stickers?
Yeah. No, I'm getting there. Give me a chance.
Oh, okay.
I think we've all agreed that Remco has been very gracious in the aftermath of the incident, and was in his first communication with the world. He said his thoughts were with the driver of the van. Now, I've just read that today, I think just launched today, has been the Remco Reflex campaign, which is, I think, kind of spearheaded by a combination of Remco himself and B-Post. And basically it amounts to, there's going to be a sticker, possibly of Remco, that'll be like a decal to the driver's side window, just to enforce the Dutch reach and to remind the drivers of the Dutch reach. And it's designed to spread beyond the postal service. So
remind the audience what the Dutch reach is.
The Dutch reach is, well, essentially the driver is meant to reach over to open the car door with the inside hand. So not the most convenient, so that you have to twist your body and perhaps improve your field of vision so that you're looking over your shoulder a bit more. And I think in some parts of Europe, it's part of the driving test. When you get out of the car, you have to do the Dutch reach. Yeah.
I've just seen this sticker, and it looks like it's Remco in his national team jersey. But is it supposed to go? If you're inside the car, are you supposed to see the sticker, and then that's what reminds you?
I think it's meant to be, reminding the driver that
so
there are
it goes
cyclists.
on the window or the wing mirror, or because either one is quite distracting, or is that the point? I'm confused.
I think it goes in the window because you're supposed to, like, as you go to open your car door, look and see this little sticker of Remco, and be
then
like,
look over your shoulder.
Yeah, if you don't look over your shoulder and do the Dutch reach, this could be a very bad day for you, because you could knock Remco Evenepoel off of his bicycle, and then you would be on the news.
And Belgium is small, so the chances of Remco riding past your door at any point is actually
not that small.
Probably quite high. Yeah.
Even though he doesn't train there very often.
True. Yeah. Well, there we are. We should try and get some of those stickers. That'd be fun.
We should get some stickers. We should put some on the Tour de France car.
Yes.
I feel like if you doored someone at the Tour de France, I think your credentials might not come in next year.
Yeah, probably. I know we have listeners in Belgium, so if a listener in Belgium can get us a Remco dooring sticker, we will pay postage.
You can send it. You can send it to my house. I'm probably closest. Send it
to Johnny. We'd really appreciate it. And then we'll report back.
I'll pay the Brexit postage levy or whatever it is. 20 quid.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have a little update on what's going on with Rowan Dennis and a little transfer corner. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, everybody. We're going to kick off with just a brief update on what's going on with Rowan Dennis. Johnny, what's going on with Rowan Dennis? So we have a small update from the Adelaide courts.
Yes. Ian Treloar actually wrote this up for our website. So I'm actually going to read the first couple of paragraphs out of his article just to make sure we get it exactly right, because obviously this is serious stuff. So Rowan Dennis has pleaded guilty to the lesser charge related to the incident resulting in the death of his wife, Melissa Hoskins. Rowan Dennis today entered a guilty plea to an aggravated count of creating likelihood of harm relating to a crash near the couple's Adelaide home on the evening of December 30th, 2023. So Rowan Dennis was initially charged with dangerous driving causing death and an aggravated charge of driving without due care. But then over the past year since the incident, this is his legal team have managed to negotiate this down to the current plea deal. So I think so basically what's been argued is that Rowan Dennis did not intend to kill his wife. So because it's a plea deal, does this mean that there will be a limited trial? Does it even go to a full trial?
Well, he now goes to sentencing, so there's a maximum term of 7 years in prison and 5 years no license.
Okay.
But it remains to be seen what happens at sentencing.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you plea, then you essentially be pleading guilty to in this case, a slightly lesser charge. So there's no need for a trial because I've already said I did it. And so go straight to sentencing. So that'll be the next step here, and we'll see what the actual repercussions are. We're not going to inject 1 ounce of opinion into this because we are not anywhere near close enough and don't have all the facts.
Nope.
So just wanted to update everybody on what's going on because it's a big story involving a world champ, 2 world champs. I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah.
Updating everybody. Go read the story. It's up on escapecollective.com that Ian put together that's got more detail in it. Again, that's it. All right. So let's head over to, I think it was just today, right? Tadej Pogačar's schedule has been released. There's a big event going on with Colnago right now in UAE. In fact, we've got Ronan there at the moment, and he spoke with Pogačar this morning as part of a press conference about safety issues and a whole bunch of other things. We are going to have some stories up on that on the site by the time you listen to this podcast. But let's get into the schedule because there's some intriguing decisions here, I think. Dane, what are the highlights?
Yeah, the highlights are that the former Tour of Flanders winner is returning to the Tour of Flanders. And the rest of his spring calendar is maybe sort of with that in mind. He's also racing. Well, first of all, he's racing Strade
Alberto Bettiol?
That's right. Alberto Bettiol is returning.
Okay. Cool.
Tadej Pogačar, who won Flanders, 2023,
Correct.
He's going to race Flanders, but before that, he's going to do Strade Bianche. He's going to do E3 and Gent-Wevelgem both, which is fascinating.
Oh.
Yep. And he's then going to race the Ardennes Classics after he does.
Can I stop you?
Yes.
Can I stop you at that part of the schedule here?
Yeah.
So what you just said, just to reiterate, is he's doing E3 and Gent-Wevelgem both ahead of the Tour of Flanders. Now, normally this would be a totally normal lead into the Tour of Flanders. If you're going to race the Tour of Flanders, you want to get some practice. E3 is a mini Tour of Flanders. It's like literally the old Flanders course, for example. Gent-Wevelgem is always a lot of generally a whole bunch of wind and echelons and things like that. Good practice for spring racing if you want to win the Tour of Flanders. Also, great opportunity to fall off your bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't love this for Pogačar. To be honest, I kind of wish, does he need practice? Can he just show up in Flanders and not have 2 more races in which he could break something?
I reckon we're heading towards a surprise Paris-Roubaix appearance this year.
Interesting.
That would be.
Well, Tom Boonen has challenged him and said, it's really not that hard.
Let us be the first to report that Tadej Pogačar is riding Paris-Roubaix 2025.
No, I don't want us to report that. I want to see him walk out of the bus on Instagram saying "Roubaix, baby." That's how we're going to find out about it. But I guess not with a British accent.
The Pidcock
Slovenia
impression is so
We're going to
good.
clip that up when he does race Roubaix. We're going to clip it up and we're going to put it in that episode and say, we told you.
We did.
We told you it was coming. Yeah. You heard it here first.
Mm-hmm.
But more generally, what do we think about this program? It is a fair amount of racing, and it doesn't really get into Tour prep looks like it'll be the same. He'll probably go back and race in Slovenia instead of doing the Dauphiné Tour Suisse.
Playing rock, paper, scissors with Rafael Majka as he's 5 minutes ahead of the peloton. The one undecided thing, supposedly, as he said, is whether he'll race the Giro or the Vuelta. But looking at the schedule that's been released of that heavy early season, and then just thinking about what he did last year, he's going to go Tour de France and Vuelta. He hasn't won the Vuelta yet. It makes sense.
Apparently, both Adam Yates and Juan Ayuso are going to go to the Giro, and Pogačar in the past has spoken about how he does like to keep his teammates happy. He's been pretty open about maybe trying. And
Ayuso is famously quite often unhappy.
I feel like Ayuso was famously one time unhappy, and then Moo, the anonymous Twitter guy, just writes about it every other day. So I don't know. Is he always unhappy? I don't really know.
Whatever happened to that guy?
He's still going. He's still going. It's bordering on someone needs to go.
He's kind of off the rails, I feel.
Ask him if he's okay. He's caring way too much about all of this stuff in December. What does this open us up then? Is if Vingegaard does the Giro, and then if he has Simon, if he has Simon Yates as his super domestique, then do we see Simon Yates chasing down Adam Yates at the Giro? Because that's a brother on brother crime, which I don't want to be witness to.
Well, we've already seen that at the Tour de France.
It was great. It was fun when we saw it.
Stage 1 Bilbao, remember?
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, but
brother and brother crime.
Adam Yates was chasing down Simon.
Yeah, UAE and Visma though, when it's like they're both on, that would be fun.
Or send Simon Yates to the Giro and let him be the team leader before he helps Vingegaard, and then we can actually get Yates v Yates.
I also think it's fun that because Pogačar hasn't specified if he's doing the Giro of Vuelta, you'll still have all these secondary GC guys being like, I should bet on the Giro because he's probably not going to do it. But then maybe they will all announce they're doing the Giro. Then Pogačar will be like, yeah, the Giro found the money to pay me to be on the start line, so I'll go to the Giro again.
Punked.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's going back to Milan-San Remo.
Yes.
He's good.
That's his big goal.
He's going to keep going back until he wins it.
Yeah, he said that's the biggest one for him. He really wants to win it. And also, Kaylee, it gives you and I an opportunity to go back and forth about how, we think he is or isn't going to do it. And we can argue about it loudly.
We can have sports talk radio.
Yeah.
But that's another reason why he's very unlikely to do the Giro, I think, is because he's going to want to peak earlier. And not so having too many peaks in the season, he's going to want to be able to do a really long range attack at Milan-San Remo because he's tried numerous times now to use his punch, but the climb's just not long enough. So he needs to have more legs in
more
March.
legs. 4.
Yeah. So I think
because San Remo and Flanders are actually not that far apart. San Remo's on the 22nd of March and Flanders is on the 6th of April. So it's what 3 weekends. Yeah. So it's not that. You could peak across that for sure. No, I would agree with that. I think he's gonna do a super early peak. Probably win Strada again
on a training ride.
San Remo on a training ride, and man, it would be great if he did Roubaix. Wouldn't that be great?
It would be great.
The thing is, to get into a bit of a tech corner here, I realize we don't have Ronan or Alex or Suvi or anybody, but the improvements in technology on bikes have made it, I think, a lot more feasible for a rider like Pogačar to win a race like Roubaix, because the tires are literally 2 or 3 times the size that they were like 10 years ago, right? Which makes, let me tell you, I've ridden Roubaix cobbles on 28s and 25s actually, which is super miserable, and I've ridden them on sort of 32s, and the difference is enormous and a lot easier, to be perfectly blunt about it. And so I think that we're kind of trending in that direction for somebody where we're going to end up with, you don't have to be the 90 kilo bruiser to win Roubaix anymore.
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? If he's doing more one-day races in the spring, then maybe he is going to be a bit bulkier in spring, and then he'll use the time that you would be at the Giro to trim down for the Grand Tours. Maybe he will be a bit of a, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Just put on a little bit more chub.
Timber. Chub.
I don't think it'll be chub.
No, I know.
If I had to guess. I think he'll still be chub free.
Kaylee, you sound this close to, with your Roubaix analysis, to saying game's gone with the reference to Roubaix.
Game's not gone.
Can you confirm or deny?
Game's changing.
Game's changed. Okay, fine.
Game's changed. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, if I was one of the big fellas, then I would be
your Nils Pollitz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I was Nils Pollitt, I'd be like the one place where I had an advantage over the pipsqueaks, and my advantage is going away. I'm not saying that it's still not good to be a big rider and stuff like that. It's not like it's smooth now. I'm just saying that it is it's 20% less violent than it was previously. So I think it's more likely, basically, and the tires and everything get bigger every single year. So we're sort of trending in that direction toward a more likely Pogačar victory there. Should we talk about Maxim Van Gils?
Go on then.
I mean, I don't want to, but Dane, you probably do.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, so he's, as of last week, he was unsigned and kind of suddenly a big rider on the market. And this may be, he's probably not a household name, but he's one of the top kind of up-and-coming riders out there. He's had quite a strong 2024 campaign. Won a World Tour race, Espern Frankfurt, but also at the Ardennes Classics, he looks like he's a real rider for the now. I was going to say for the future, but he was already third at Flèche and fourth at Liège. A lot of destiny. I think the long and short of the situation is he wanted more money because he was on a contract. This is a very NFL type situation where it's like, athlete is on contract that doesn't feel like pays him enough because of his recent results. And, I don't know if he held out at training camp the way that he would. But yeah, but I don't think it was known where. Well, I know it wasn't known where he was going. Basically, he said, "I want out." A lot of Destiny, or pay me more. And a lot of Destiny said, "Okay, bye. We're happy."
A lot of Destiny said, "We can barely pay you
exactly
anything."
Yeah. And they agreed to let him go. And then, a rider of his caliber being on the market this late, suddenly there's going to be people. I mean,
and in a week when Pidcock, was freed up.
All the Ardennes contenders suddenly available. Lots are changing hands, right? Yeah, so he was apparently in talks with a few different teams. One that was apparently lobbying quite hard to get his services was Astana, Kazakhstan. But unfortunately for the Alexander Vinokourov team, he, I guess, decided he liked Red Bull Bora-Hansgrohe more. Or maybe they'd offered him a lot more money. And so Maxim Van Gils will be heading to Red Bull, which suddenly has quite a strong classics lineup. They had already signed Lawrence Pithy. Like they've got Jordi Mayus already. Yeah, Tratnik they're bringing over, the Omloop Nieuwsblad winner. So basically from cobbles to the Ardennes, I mean they've got riders now.
This wasn't like a contract breaking kind of situation, because didn't Ralph Denk talk a bunch about this?
Yeah, so I mean he did not
love it before?
He did terminate his contract. The question is, was Red Bull already talking to him? Maybe?
Right.
The Red Bull has been rumored to be his destination since before he severed ties with Lotto.
And he did thank the team boss of Lotto Destiny in the statement announcing the news. Thanks for having this all work out the way that it did. Again, does that mean that they were trying to poach him before in a way that is shady? Unclear.
I think do you remember last year when Ralph Denk got really upset with the whole Kian Utebrückers to Visma thing?
Yep.
And how they managed to sort of prize him from that situation. But then Denk has been after Evenepoel, been after Pidcock.
Yep.
It goes both ways, On the one hand, Denk's, lucked out to some extent with this Red Bull money coming in, but then you gotta either play by the rules of the game or keep your mouth shut. I don't know.
Let's just get real transfers going.
Yeah.
Let's just get buy rider. This team buys this rider. This team buys this rider. This team buys this rider. That'd be way more fun.
Yeah. Trading contracts.
That'd be way more fun.
We sort of have a mechanism for that, and there's actually new rules around the way that teams have to either stop poaching riders or now come to agreements where they actually talk to the team of the riders they're trying to poach. But it is still very much a sort of, we're going to pay you to break the contract thing. And all you really need to do is just add some new rule where there's more of a framework for, I don't want to pay this guy anymore. Let's just send him somewhere else. That's all you really need.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like we're trending in that direction. I feel like we're absolutely trending in that direction. So yeah, a couple tweaks. I could see 10 years from now where we have a system like that.
We need draft picks. That's what we need.
Drafts?
Yes, there is that. Drafting would be great. The other thing with drafting and with trades, though, is that you get riders or athletes of any sport maybe going to a team they don't want to go to. And that is something that I feel like athletes maybe don't love. Like, can you imagine getting traded from, I don't know, what if you're really liking, well, all right, let's say you're really liking Little Trek, things are going great. And then Luca Gorciolina decides that he's got a great deal on the table from Arkea. And then all of a sudden, you're never riding the Tour de France again because they're going to get demoted. And then, well, I guess they're French, so maybe they'll get those invites. But
yeah, they're going to be there anyway.
Like or Astana. Maybe you're going to Astana. Then you are maybe never riding the Tour de France again.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about it, like for cyclists, at least you could probably not have to move where you live. Because you can kind of live anywhere.
Yeah.
It'd be way worse for like a football player.
Yeah, you got to go to Cleveland.
And you just got sent to another part of the country.
Don't say Cleveland like that. That's so rude, Dane.
Oh, I'm just, I'd already done that.
Cleveland's a lovely city.
I already mentioned that once before, and Kaylee responded in the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. Big Cleveland fan. All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more people named after pro cyclists, or maybe the other way around. Unclear. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Johnny. Give me some people that have the same names as pro cyclists.
These days, my Instagram DMs is either spam people telling me how much I can make with crypto, or it's people messaging me with other people with names of people in cycling. So I've got a couple more submissions to share with you this week. First comes in from Fiona Morris, who says that there is someone else called Matt White. Matt White is the Jayco Alula boss. But then there's another Matt White whose Instagram handle is the real Matt White, which I like, who is he's a keen cyclist, and apparently he knows Wade, our CEO. So that's a fun one. Fiona says that Matt is apparently keen if we want to interview him, but the amount of submissions I've had for the names, I think it would mean that that's all I would be doing until the end of next season when Pidcock transfers to another team. The other submission I have had, let me just pull this up here, is from a mountain bike racer called Haley Bates, who gets confused with Haley Batten because they both are American, both race, together and stuff. Gets mail sent to her, which isn't meant for her. Mechanics have taken her number plate instead of Haley Batten's at World Cups, stuff like that.
She raced a bunch of World Cups. Like, she was a pro cyclist. Yeah.
So, but the mechanic one's quite wild.
I've got another one for you.
Go on.
There's a Scottish rugby player called Ben Healy.
Wow.
Who was born in Tipperary.
Wow.
So he was born in Ireland and then moved to Edinburgh.
That's fun.
He doesn't look anything like our Ben Healy.
Our Ben Healy was born in the UK, and he went and registered as Irish. So it's sort of the reverse.
The Scottish Ben Healy, he's got very ginger hair. He did bleach it at one point, so they do have that in common as well.
That makes him cool.
Can we head into unfortunate physical ailments alleyway?
If you insist. Unfortunate physical ailments for us, or
no.
That sounded a bit like a threat.
Did me talking about my red hair make you think of unfortunate ailments, Kaylee? Because that's kind of offensive.
It did. Yeah. Unfortunate physical ailments alleyway. I like how we've named everything this week. We just have two quick. I named everything.
I came up with two quick. I don't know why.
You did. You had Pitter's Paddock.
I'm a child.
Pitter's Paddock. Can I get to these two very short news items here? But they're both unfortunate. So first is that Sarah Gigante has had iliac artery surgery. She wrote a bunch about this on social media, I think. A couple of stories have been up. Sounds like she was having issues with, I think it was her right leg, right? So that burning sensation in the quad that got worse and worse, the sort of the classic symptoms of iliac artery. And it has just had that surgically repaired in like the last week or two. And so unfortunately won't be back to defend her Tour Down Under title, which is now barely over a month away, is when TDU kicks off, which is unfortunate. And the iliac artery is generally something that riders can come back from, but we have seen riders sort of never find their previous best again.
Except for Marianne Vos and Annemiek van Vleuten.
So that there's sort of both sides of this, right? And then you've got like I think it was it Joe Dombrowski, I think, had a similar issue and kind of never reached the same
and Bob
heights
Jungels
again.
as well. He was getting good and then getting really good, and then he had it on both legs at once.
Right, and so basically what I'm saying is fingers crossed for Sarah, and obviously we hope that she'll return to the heights that she has previously reached. And then the other little tidbit from Unfortunate Physical Ailments Alleyway is that Eddy Merckx fell off of his bicycle and broke his hip, right? Ended up in the hospital. Never a good thing. And it seems like he's otherwise okay, and it was described as just sort of a silly...
He released a statement, I think, after successful surgery, and he said, he's feeling okay, I think.
How old is Eddy now?
79.
I don't think he's going to come back stronger after this ailment.
Probably not.
I think
70. I think Dane, you said this. He's 79 years old. Yeah,
79.
So you're getting up into like it's going to be a slow recovery, and we hope that Eddy's good to go by. We always see him wandering on the Tour de France, for example, and we're hoping he's back at it.
I think the plan is that they're going to print off a bunch of stickers of Eddy Merckx's face and then put them on Eddy Merckx to remind him not to fall off his bike.
trying to think of a good alliteration, but Remco Reflex is really good, and I don't know about
Merckx Momentum.
Oh, that's Merckx Memento.
Momentum.
Yeah, but memento makes more sense.
Does it?
Yeah, it's like a reminder,
Yeah. Well, momentum, keep moving.
Yeah, fair enough.
Does anyone want to join me in during the Tour de France? We like to name guys, but after the crested butt chat of last week's podcast, we've had people naming places on Discord all week.
Crested butt. It was really. It sent the Discord off in a way that few things have on this podcast.
I think it was that and vacuum cleaners are our two the hottest topics for the Discord this calendar year. So I've got a few places.
Yeah.
Has anyone else prepared places or just me?
You've prepared them, but I feel like that's when you start naming guys, you're like, oh, you name this guy, I'll name that guy. So I feel like we can get a rebounding going on.
Okay. I'm going to start easy. Shop. It's a place called Shop.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Are we looking for pro cycling related places or just places?
Just places.
Just any old place?
I used to go to tennis. I used to go to... Oh, what?
I've already mentioned one. Cleveland. I mean, that's a place.
It is a place. Cleveland. Oh, wow, okay. I don't know. As a kid, we used to go to sports tournaments in 6 Mile Bottom.
That's good.
Which always gave as a joke. But I mean, it's very logical when you think about it, because bottom of the valley, 6 Mile Valley.
That's true.
Yeah.
There's a town in Colorado called No Name.
Oh, that's brilliant.
That's good.
Yep.
I just Googled weird UK place names, and here's somewhere I've never heard of before. Barton in the Beans.
That's good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, where is this place?
It's in Leicestershire, as you would say.
Did you say it? Yeah.
No. First of all, Kaylee and I would not say that because we are cultured Americans who watch soccer.
Or in Shrek, Worcestershire?
Yeah. And I grew up in New England, where those towns we have all the same town names.
Yeah. Ditto in Virginia. We just named all of our stuff. I grew up in York. There's everything was named after King James or Queen Mary.
How do you say Worcestershire?
Worcestershire.
That's just
we just say Worcester.
Dane, ditto in Virginia sounds absolutely delightful, especially in the fall.
Yeah. It's a great place to be.
Let's continue this in After Dark. We've given people a bit of a taste.
I've got an After Dark example as well. So let's do that.
Even better than your giant several mile. I can't remember how many miles the bottom was, but
6
miles.
Several mile bottom.
Several mile bottom's even better.
That's enough naming of places. Crested Butte, Crested Butt, Krusty Butt, still my favorite. I mean, Krusty Butt, you can't get any better than Krusty Butt. All right, well, before we go, Dane, currently, people who play our Bike Grid game can win something, right? What can they win?
That's accurate. They can win a Wahoo bike computer, the Element Ace. All you gotta do is just go play Bike Grid, which you should do anyway, because it's fun.
It's super fun. I have a bunch of buddies who play it literally every single day, and we compete, and they usually beat me. And it's good fun. Got to get a little group together. And if you play it 5 times this month, you're entered to win this Wahoo bike computer.
Which is good, because honestly, you should play it 31 times this month, in my opinion. You should. Because I'm doing 31 grids, so you should play.
And we've added like, let me just say, as an old man, I love the fact that we added riders back to, 2000?
Yeah,
now?
2000, yep.
Because my knowledge of like 2008 to 2014 professional cycling is unmatched. But anything in the last like 5 years, I really struggle with.
Yeah, so...
But all the old dudes, I'm all about it. So that if you were like me, and that was your peak pro cycling era, then you should jump back in and see if you can do a whole bunch of Vincenzo Nibali, for example, is back on there, and you can use Francisco Mancebo for all sorts of things, and so it's a bunch of good ones in there. Having
like Tom Bonin, Fabian Cancellara, like people. The other nice thing about those categories is that if you're only a recent fan, like if you weren't following the sport in 2010, if I choose teammate of say Fabian Cancellara, or actually Nibali's a great example. They're going to have their jersey, that the last jersey they were wearing, in the little image. So even if you weren't following the sport 15 years ago, you'll at least be able to see what team they were on most recently, and you'll be able to just name some riders that are on that team now or recently. Yeah. So go play Bike Grid.
Go play Bike Grid. Win a Wahoo. All right, we're going to head into Escape After Dark. We've got some more places to name and
some hot takes.
We've got some hotter than hot takes. I was going to. So the reason I paused there is because I have a small quiz we could do.
Oh,
we'll decide.
We'll decide when we get there. Surprise quiz at the 11th hour.
We'll decide when we get there. All right, we're heading in After Dark. If you are listening to the free feed, this is where we cut off. Go become a member. escapecollective.com/member. Keep in mind that supports everything that we do. All the content that we make for you supports this podcast. It's the reason why we can make all this stuff. So please go do it. If you're a member already, stick around because we're going to throw some hot takes at you in just a second. Let's head to After Dark.